it's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they couldn't get the Arizona State coach to come out. They couldn't get the BYU coach to leave their job. I mean, it's just very odd, I feel, when we watch this whole thing play out and try and really understand what happened here with Michigan not being able to make some of the splashier hires that they thought they were going to be able to make.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Crosby has now left the team, by the way. He's pissed. Anyway, look at he's angry. He wants to play. He doesn't like what they're doing here. It's all sort of speculation.
This might be the final straw, George, for him there.
Like,
I don't know why he stays. Yeah, I know. The thing is, he's got a Raider freaking tattoo. Like, the guy loves the Raiders. Like, he really does love playing for the Raiders. But and now, like you said, he's not happy about this.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
It's the Early Line, and it's time to rise and grind on a glorious Thursday morning right here on the SportsGrid Network. You know the drill. Over the next 2 hours, myself, Donnie Rightside, and Joe Raniere, we got you covered on all the hottest topics across the sports landscape that you need to know, which includes national championship football. Well, not the championship game, but a championship caliber game between Miami and Ole Miss is going to take place tonight. Tomorrow, we get another college football game, and then we get wild card weekend. We're not even at a football Friday yet, and I feel like football is ruling the day. A lot of information you need to know in the NFL, which includes guys already getting themselves in trouble, and we're not even into the true offseason yet. A lot more of that on the way. This is how we get down. It's the Early Line. What's up, Joe? How we feeling today? I know the energy's high.
I am good, Donnie. Off another meltdown by Kentucky at Rupp Arena and another L. So for them, way to go, Mizzou getting it done for us last night. Gotta love these total annihilations by the have and have-nots in college basketball. We're seeing it in real time, Donnie, and I love every minute of it.
Absolutely. You know what else we're seeing in real time? Fade in the public really pays off with the Brooklyn Nets +2. They lost by 1. Cha-ching, the boys go 2-0. Now it's time to get the hottest topic of the day. Get caffeinated, Joe.
Well, Donnie, you mentioned it, of course, tonight, the first of the semifinal games between Miami and Ole Miss in college football, and it's official, Donnie. Lane Kiffin has actually reached James Bond villain status. Outstanding stuff. We are hours away, literally hours away from the national semifinal between that Ole Miss team and Miami, a game that could send the Rebels to a national championship opportunity. And what does Lane Kiffin do yesterday? Well, he picks up the phone, calls his old staff at Ole Miss and says, yeah, you need to come back now. That's right. 2 of the assistants, the wide receivers coach, of course, the tight ends coaches, who were supposed to be allowed to stay and help Ole Miss finish this magical run, gone, recalled to LSU the night before the biggest game of their lives. Now, you have to appreciate the pure pettiness of it, right? Because Lane begged Ole Miss to let him stay and coach the playoffs. They told him no. So now he's basically stripping the team for parts right before kickoff at the semifinals tonight. But let's be honest. Who's the real bad guy here, though, in it all, Donnie? It's the NCAA. Great job, geniuses. Outstanding. You scheduled the transfer portal window to open. The only time you can sign players for next season to happen during the college football playoff, the biggest time of year, the biggest games of the year. And this is when you thought it'd be good to open the portal. Now, Lane Kiffin isn't stupid. He knows if he doesn't have his staff at LSU right now, well, basically he loses the recruiting war, and he's not going to do that. These coaches have families, they have mortgages, and they're going to stay for one game and risk their future jobs? I don't think so. They will get on the plane and come back to LSU. And that's exactly what they're doing. But think about the absurdity. Ole Miss just beat Georgia, which Lane Kiffin didn't think they would do. They're 2 wins away from a title, and they're losing coaches by the hour, Donnie. And here's the scary part. Charlie Weiss Jr., the OC, he's still there. He's one of only a handful that are still there. But my question is, for how long? If Ole Miss beats Miami tonight, do not be surprised if Lane Kiffin goes supervillain and recalls his play caller before the national championship game. I want you to imagine this, Donnie, because it very well could happen. Pete Golding standing on the sideline in the title game for Ole Miss by himself while Lane Kiffin is watching from a luxury suite with the governor of Louisiana laughing like a couple of school kids. I feel for the players, Donnie. I feel for the fans. But my goodness, you have to love Lane Kiffin. Nobody steals the spotlight quite like he does. Enjoy the game tonight, assuming Ole Miss has anyone left to actually hold the clipboards, Donnie.
Yeah, exactly. Remember, you go back to the 80s, Pop Warner football here. You had one coach here that coached the offense, the defense, and the special teams. That's going to be Pete Golding. And my goodness, if he wins a national championship, it would be hilarious to talk about it there. Great stuff there. Getting caffeine on a Thursday. We're energized and ready to go. Let's use the early lineup with the other hot topics that you need to know, which includes Rashee Rice. Sometimes in business, they say all headlines are good headlines, not for the professional athlete. Rashee Rice cannot stay out of the trouble. The latest now, the Chiefs are aware of abuse allegations made by his ex-girlfriend here. Never a good look. Social media puts this out here, and now we're going to judge whether it's right or wrong. A terrible look for the Chiefs wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, what, old girlfriend, longtime girlfriend. I mean, this is just, the guy can't stay out of his own way. You thought he would have, learned his lesson, Donnie, with the whole accident in Dallas and then missing the games and but no, here we are back in the spotlight. Just nothing, unfortunately, good here for the Kansas City Chiefs or for Rice for that matter. So we'll see how it all plays out, though, in the end.
Tyler Shuck, he's going to be the starting quarterback in 2026 for the New Orleans Saints, and rightfully so, played extremely well down the stretch. Get the kid some weapons to work with, but he deserves to be the starter. He's earned that right at the end of the season.
Absolutely. Spot on, Donnie. He deserves to be. He earned that right. He did more with less than any other young quarterback did in the NFL. And kudos to him because nobody had them winning 6-7 games this year. Absolutely nobody.
No, and also, as he started, the weapons got less and less and less and less by the end of the season. Like what I saw out of the kid, we'll see what he has with a full offseason with Kellen Moore. Take a look at Todd Bowles, who'll be back in Tampa as the head man here. Season didn't end the way they wanted to, but they're letting the defensive play caller come back for another season as head coach.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what is this, his first year of not making the postseason? So, I mean, it happens, Donnie. I mean, the injury bug hit Tampa in a big, big way. I would have been really shocked if Tampa decided to move on from him there. He's a player's guy. They love him. They respect him. They stay healthy again next year. They get a couple of free agents and hit the draft. Tampa will be right back at the top of that division.
Basketball is a business. Did you know Trae Young in the middle of the night got traded to the Washington Wizards? You might say, why would he want to go to Washington? It's about business. The agent probably picked up the phone and said, who's going to extend him once he gets there? The Wizards like, nobody ever wants to come here. You're welcome here. We'll pay you a ton of money. He winds up on the Wizards to never be heard from again.
Yeah, Siberia in the NBA. Welcome, Washington Wizards. Trae Young, absolutely nobody will be wearing your jersey here. And listen, this was nothing more than a salary dump. Because in return, they didn't get any draft picks. They just ended up getting an over-the-hill player and Corey Crispert, who can't stay healthy enough to play any games here. So kudos. But you did get C.J. McCollum, who's also at the end of the rope there in the end of his career. So this was nothing more than getting rid of a guy that just doesn't fit the future of the Atlanta Hawks. And if I may say so, Donnie, 2 years too late.
Yep, there you go. Ty Simpson, by the way, 2 years too late. Not necessarily. I'm surprised not staying in college even more to cash in on the NIL. He's telling Alabama he's going pro. How about that?
Why? Like, what?
Exactly.
What? Like, why? I do not understand. All right. I mean, kudos. If you go along the lines of I'm a quarterback, so there's going to be some NFL team that's going to draft me. Sure. But are we talking about one of the best top 10 players in the? No, absolutely not. But kudos. You probably could have made more money going back to Alabama for one more year.
Absolutely could have, or at least going somewhere else. But hey, good, legitimate quarterbacks in the portal. We'll give you $5 million. That's the going rate right now. The Golden State Warriors going rate, I should say, is trying to be the oldest team in NBA history. They want Anthony Davis for what? To watch the game from the sideline?
No, I think I have figured out the whole Anthony Davis, interest from teams, Donnie, and I think it has everything to do with teams realizing you have to play defense. You have to have somebody who can play defense if you're going to make a run. And I think that's what Atlanta and Golden State are looking at right now.
Jerry Jones getting up there saying things that don't make any sense. Like, yeah, the goal is to retire with the most Super Bowls out here. How about you just make a Super Bowl, Jerry? Let's start there.
Well, listen, Jerry, at this point, you'll be, I guess you're working until you're 385 because it ain't working right now in Dallas. And that Super Bowl ain't walking through that locker room anytime soon.
No, it's certainly not, Jerry. But you can go spend the offseason on that yacht of yours and relax and enjoy as being a billionaire owner of an NFL team. We got more hot topics next. Spreadlines.
Let's play a little buy or sell. I think it's pretty evident that despite being one of the best tight ends in the history of the NFL, Travis Kelce's play and physicality and everything, with all due respect, took a big step back. This was easily his worst physical season of all. He just didn't look like himself. Travis Kelce will retire after the season. Buy or sell?
Yeah, I'm probably 60-40 on this that he retires. The only thing I'd say that maybe he returns is because he doesn't want to end the way it ended, not making the playoffs and that sort of thing. But let's just say for Gales and Mahomes, he isn't going to be ready for September or October, unless they get a really good veteran quarterback. Maybe he doesn't want to deal with that either. Go through a training camp, and he may not make the playoffs either next year. So I'm probably 60-40. I think he's done. Too bad. Hall of Fame career. I guess good luck with Travis Swift and your podcast with Jason.
I'm buying this. Andy Reid addressing this question this week. Why? He could have just deferred and said, I don't know, we'll see. Fully answered the question about this maybe being his last game. What does that tell you? He knows. Everybody knows. I'm not 60-40, 90-10. I'm on buy. Bo Nix versus Caleb Williams. You'd rather have Nix over Caleb Williams in a dynasty league.
That's a tough one. I think I'm going to go Caleb here, mainly because he has more running ability than Nix. I think he'll also say healthier than Nix. I might like his receivers more as well. He's got Dunze, he's got you got DJ Moore, you got the good tight ends here. Probably do lean towards Williams here. Not by a hell of a lot. It wouldn't be an easiest choice here, but I'm going to go with Caleb Williams here.
I would agree. It's not that I think that Ben Johnson is a better coach than Sean Payton. I think Ben Johnson is better for Caleb Williams than Sean Payton will be for Bo Nix. I think running is going to be a big part of what Denver does in the future. So there you go. I'll sell.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Time for some spread lines, hot topics that collide with sporting events on information that you need to know, specifically coming up this weekend in the NFL. And if we look at the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Carolina Panthers, game number 1 of Wild Card Weekend, Joe, 4:30 p.m. on your Saturday. This line has been sitting at 10.5 all week. Hasn't really moved all that much. Total 46.5. But if we can pop up that meme for Andre the Giant where it's like, oh no, there's rain in the forecast, Joe. Uh-oh. Last time we saw the Rams in Carolina in the rain, didn't work out so well. What's your spread line for Saturday?
Well, we are actually starting to see a little bit of movement in some spots, Donnie, but we're still seeing a big ticket count and big money on the Rams. But we are starting to see some tens popping up in the marketplace. Now, does that mean that, of course, the pros are running to the window and back in Carolina? No. But what it tells me is since we haven't seen any real big move back up, I mean, at 10.5, Donnie, you're already in no man's land, right? Key number of 10. So does it get to 11? Does it get to 11.5? I'm kind of shocked it hasn't at this point. Tend to believe that there might be a little bit more money hitting the market on Saturday before kickoff here, but I think it's going to be all one way. I think the pros and the Joes are all going to be aligned on the Rams come Saturday afternoon.
See what happens here. How about that Saturday night game in Chicago? A little bit of flurries, maybe a little bit of snow in the forecast there. Cold weather as usual in the Windy City, but now it's substantial across the board, Joe. We used to have a little bit of a nice mix. +1 here, -1 there. That's not the case. Looks like -1.5 is taking control for the Green Bay Packers as a favorite over the Chicago Bears. That total sitting at 45.5. Josh Jacobs just said he feels the best he's felt in 6 weeks here. Green Bay going in as the favorite over the 2 seed. How about that? What's your spread line?
Well, we just talked about the pros and the Joes likely on the same page with the Rams. They are not on the same page in this game. We have got nothing but tickets and money on the Bears, and yet this line continues to move towards the Green Bay Packers. So we have got the public is looking at this line and going, how are the Bears the 2 seed, an underdog in any way, shape, or form? And yet here it is, Donnie. We are still looking. And again, 1.5, pretty consistent across the market. We're starting to see 45s in the market as well, which tells me weather conditions, maybe not a whole lot of offense here. It's going to be cold. Make sure you understand what that's going to be Saturday night there. But nobody seems to necessarily be expecting a shootout. But it is clear that the pros and Joes believe, yeah, there are 2 different better teams on the field here. The public loves the Bears. The pros, they're backing the Packers.
Yes, they are. And by the way, also, if you're talking about that number dropping a little bit, you get 2 healthy running games in a playoff game in colder temperatures. Yeah, they're going to run the ball. That line is going to keep on pounding lower. We'll see what that ends up at 45.5 or lower once we get to game day. Let's go to Sunday afternoon. Great start here at 1 o'clock, Joe. Buffalo's headed to Jacksonville. Once again, the higher seeded team is at home and an underdog of -1.5. This line has been substantial all week. Like, we haven't even had those floating numbers like we had in Chicago, Joe. It's been Buffalo all week. And also, similar ticket counts here. You're seeing people, wait a second, Jacksonville's red hot. They're at home and they're an underdog. I'll take them. Looks like we might have a divide in this game as well, Joe. What's your spread line for Sunday's Buffalo-Jacksonville game?
Oh, you nailed it there, Donnie. This is another pros versus Joes divide here because the Joes are all over Jacksonville going, what are we doing here? I mean, they're playing at home in Duval County. Yes, that's because that means something apparently now. But you're continuing to see the tickets and the money rolling in here. But why is this line still -1.5, Donnie? Well, that's because there is some influential bettors that are line freezing this. And I think that's going to continue as we get a little bit closer to kickoff over the weekend, Donnie. And listen, I don't blame people for jumping on Jacksonville. They have been absolutely amazing. But when you look at experience and you look at the strength of schedule here, they have not beaten teams like the Bills at all this year. And I think the pros are siding with the experience and the Josh Allen factor in absolutely beautiful conditions, by the way, on Sunday.
I can't wait to watch it play. I mean, great weekend of wild card action, specifically in Duval County here. Let's go over to the NBA. The Miami Heat going to take on the Chicago Bulls tonight. The Heat will be on the road, but the Heat heavy favorites. I'm seeing 6.5s and now 7.5s in the marketplace with a total of 239.5. Every time I see a Miami Heat game where we're having these high totals that are listed, it's fantastic. No longer those Pat Riley, Alonzo Mourning days in the 1990s. What's your spread line tonight as the Heat invade Chicago?
Well, Donnie, this has been overnight. This was 5.5, and now it has ballooned to 7.5 this morning. So a lot of that overnight money looking to fade the Bulls. And I get it. The Bulls are all banged up. They're shorthanded. No Josh Giddey and company. Colby White may not play in this game. Meanwhile, Tyler Hero back for the Heat. Looks like they'll have their full complement. So I get the Heat love here. But the total is interesting. 239.5. I'm kind of shocked, Donnie. This thing is not 240 or higher because I do think it's going to get there. Both of these teams like to push pace, both top 10 in tempo. I would look towards the over in this one, and I think that's where the money is eventually going to go.
Small card tonight in the NBA. I think there's only four games that are actually listed here. That game is one of those. Let's head over to college basketball. Go out west, and that's to Oregon. Eugene, Ohio State's going to take on Oregon in a Big Ten battle. This line opened up around that 1.5 line overnight. Now in the morning, Joe, we're seeing -2.5 as the favorite towards the home team, Oregon. A total listed at a robust 153.5. Joe, OSU, Oregon. What are we seeing here? What's your spread line?
2-game road trip for Ohio State. Both these teams actually coming off of very close losses there. You had the Buckeyes who lost at home to Nebraska. The fear, I think, in this is that they might lose that Nebraska game twice. They could have won that game, should have won that game, but they were down 14 in that game in the first half to come back and have a shot to actually win it here. And listen, Oregon has been screaming with Dana Altman. They're sick and tired of having to travel 2,500 miles to play the Marylands of the world in a, in a conference game. But such is life now in the Big Ten. Dana Altman, yeah, he's a favorite, I think, here for a reason. I think it's another letdown spot here for Ohio State.
By the way, Oregon 1-3 in the Big Ten, and also their last loss to Rutgers had that crazy final no foul situation, which sent that to overtime, but they still ended up losing there. NFL news and notes coming up next. We're looking at you, Rasheed Rice.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
They have one more win than Chicago, and they literally beat Chicago in Week 17, and yet the Niners are on the road and the Bears are at home. Why? Because of an outdated rule that says, well, winning your division is the holy grail. Rewarding an 8-win division winner with a home playoff game is like giving the corner office to the guy who won the office fantasy pool instead of the guy who actually closed the accounts all year.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Hey, we got Wild Card Weekend this weekend. There's no doubt about that. We will be focused on Saturday for a doubleheader. We have 3 games on a Sunday and 1 game on Monday Night Football, and the SportsGrid Network is going to have you covered on all of those games, but not just the games that are going on. There's things happening off the field, which means teams are looking for head coaches, teams are firing coaches, teams are looking to say, you know what? Let's get prepared for the draft and hopefully have a better 2026. I'll tell you guys, didn't have a good 2025 right now. it's Rashee Rice as we head into 2026. Coming in to the NFL out of college, the knock on Rashee Rice wasn't that he was a fantastic athlete and we don't think he's going to be able to make it in the NFL. It was the off-the-field issues. With Andy Reid in Philadelphia, never would have put up with this, but now Andy Reid in Kansas City, you know what? A couple of these guys on the team here, if we keep them straight, can actually help and we can win championships, which they have. Rashee Rice had a terrible incident last offseason where he almost caused fatalities by racing his friends in Lamborghinis and Ferraris and said, okay, he gets a suspension, just try to stay clear. Now we see Rashee Rice popping back up in the media for what? Alleged abuse on an ex of his who has his 2 kids at this point right now. This isn't a good look. And sometimes it's about the court of public opinion, not actually things going through to the court system here. Tough look for Rashee Rice, maybe even a worse look for the Chiefs if they keep him around.
Yeah, it's, she didn't name him, but on an Instagram post, she was posting pictures of her with a bloody lip, scratches, bruises. I mean, just awful stuff here. And she basically lays it all out that it's been like that forever and that she's known him and that he is not what he pretends to be. I mean, a whole lot of allegations. Never named him. But obviously, I mean, the mother of his 2 kids, they've been together for a long time. They did break up a couple of months ago. Either way, when you're 25 years old, you just spent 30 days in jail, 5 years probation, you got a second chance. You got like another lease here, an opportunity to be able to do good. And then this happens, and whatever led up to it doesn't matter. The fact that this had been going on, if true, that we've seen the last of Rashee Rice likely.
Probably have here. Haven't seen the last of Todd Bowles, even though I believe he's 36 and 36 with the Buccaneers, a couple division championships here. Here's the tough part, Joe, for me. When I'm running an organization myself, you can find good defensive coordinators. You can't find great offensive coordinators. They had a couple in their building the last 2 years, and it's not Todd Bowles' fault. He was the head coach, and it is what it is, but you lose those top guys to other teams because they get to become head coaches here. See what Liam Cohen is doing there in Jacksonville. Maybe he could have done the same if he stayed in Tampa Bay, but Todd Bowles going to stick around. As Joe always points out, all right, you fire Todd Bowles. You get Matt Nagy or Vance Joseph? Like, well, right. You know what I mean? You might as well keep what you got with a guy who's won some things at least, right?
They're always there. I mean, they've been in the postseason how many years now in a row with him at the helm? I mean, this is not a guy that has been struggling. It was an off year. They kind of fell apart here. Injuries kind of took their toll, but the Bucs have never really been that kind of organization where they're just, let's fire a guy a year or 2 years into it. I mean, he's been there a long time, Todd Bowles. And yeah, I think at 62 years old, he deserved a shot to return for his 5th season. And I think they'll be good if they got a couple of decisions to make in the offseason. But yeah, I think the injuries were a big part of why they landed where they did this year. But I think a good bounce back year for Todd Bowles next year.
By the way, I don't even think we needed a statement on this next story here. The Saints committing to Tyler Shough, their starting quarterback in 2026. He proved it on the field. He even made a charge at maybe being offensive rookie of the year, despite only playing a handful of games. From what I've seen of him, you judge these guys, and a lot, you say, he doesn't have a lot around him. What did you want him to do? He had a bad season, like Shedeur Sanders. That's the opposite here with Shough. Like, Shough was a bright spot there for the New Orleans Saints and winning football games down the stretch in spite of the actual team that was put around him here. I like Shough. I'm intrigued for 2026. He deserves to be that starter.
Listen, the reason that you're not picking at the top of the draft and have an option at picking a new quarterback is because you finally played him and took out Spencer Rattler, and he won you enough games where, he's going to be your quarterback. You don't get to choose a new quarterback next year at the top of the draft because he played the way he did. So I'm looking forward to what he can do with some real weapons and now a year under his belt. I think this could be a great story moving forward.
Yeah, by the way, also, the next story here, Justin Herbert taking snaps. Wait a second, he's a quarterback who's been playing all along. This guy, 1 week out of surgery, had trouble under center. Now we're a couple weeks later. You can add more to your offense here. Justin Herbert looks like he's almost back to normal heading into New England.
Yeah, and that's great news for the Chargers and for Harbaugh. So, yeah, it was a matter of time. But, again, we've talked about it. Nobody tougher in the league than Justin Herbert. Should be the MVP.
No, I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot of really good spots in the situation. Also, we've seen Herbert take games over. The problem is that offensive line going to hold up against New England? A lot of those questions will be answered this weekend for sure. More hot topics, which includes college football playoffs, up next.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
They have one more win than Chicago, and they literally beat Chicago in Week 17, and yet the Niners are on the road and the Bears are at home. Why? Because of an outdated rule that says, well, winning your division is the holy grail. Rewarding an 8-win division winner with a home playoff game is like giving the corner office to the guy who won the office fantasy pool instead of the guy who actually closed the accounts all year.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Maybe the biggest lightning bolt of the week was former Ravens coach John Harbaugh, as we say former, getting let go from the Baltimore Ravens. 7 teams inquired within 45 minutes, we were told from his agent, about him being maybe the head coach of their organization. Now, John Harbaugh could probably go out tomorrow and say, let me just take an interview. This will be over in 3 hours, and I'll be the head coach of any team I want out of those 7 that contacted me. But he is being smart about this because a report came out from Adam Schefter that said former Ravens head coach John Harbaugh is not expected to conduct any head coaching interviews until next week. There's a couple really good franchises still in the playoffs that if their teams lose, he might be looking at a much better situation and better ownership group to go be a head coach under. Smart move for John Harbaugh by not saying, sure, I'll take the first thing that comes up. Joe, he could have as many as 10 teams vying for him, which only means one thing, more money and more power and the choice to go wherever he actually wants to go.
Listen, the minute it was announced, the minute that the Ravens decided to move on from him, he immediately became the hottest commodity in all of football. And sorry, Lane Kiffin, it is Harbaugh here. And given the fact that it was 7 within 45 minutes, and then we learned later, Donnie, that it was as many as up to 11 teams. And again, there's only 6 teams, 7 with the Ravens, but only 6 teams are currently looking for a head coach, which means there are a lot of teams with current head coaches that are inquiring about getting Harbaugh into the building. So, yes, he will have his pick of where he wants to go ultimately. And if I'm him, there's no rush either. They'll wait for him.
They will wait for him here. I tell you what, we don't have to wait too much longer for tonight. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Tonight's the Fiesta Bowl. As Lionel Richie once said, Fiesta forever. Come on and sing along. Football all night long. You like that, Joe? I mean, look at that. We're going back to the 80s, man. Lionel Richie style tonight. We might as well be in the 80s. Miami in a big-time football game, it feels like we haven't seen it since the 1980s, and away we go. Ole Miss, underdogs, getting 3.5 points tonight from the Hurricanes. Total, 51.5 at the opening number. You see that graphic. We're now up to 52.5 across the board. Pete Golding, last standout here. Mario Cristobal, he can never win the big game, despite winning back-to-back big games now as we see it. I can't wait for this to start as a Miami fan. It feels like, Joe, we've been talking about this for 5 years, this game, and finally, we have it tonight.
Yeah, we do. And I thought for a minute there you were going to dance on the ceiling. But never mind. We got a whole, yes, I know. What a feeling it is. And it's got to be for Miami as well. I think this is strength versus strength. I'm looking very forward to this game here tonight because the thing that has always hampered Miami, right, going back a long time, but most recently in Cristobal's era, is that they just couldn't beat the elite teams, the good teams, right, Donnie? They would always seem to fall flat, and that would be the end of that. Well, they've kind of done away with that because when you look at the teams that they had to rattle off wins against down the stretch here, including that final game against Pitt in the regular season, it was a top 25 team. Then you have to go to A&M and win a game, which you did. Then you had to take on Ohio State, who was number 1 in the country most. You ended up handling business there. This defense is a legit defense. Ole Miss, they've faced some pretty good defenses, Donnie, have they not? I mean, they had to play Georgia twice. They've also had to play Oklahoma, which a lot of people thought was the best defense in the country. And they have averaged, well over 4 touchdowns in those games against those good defenses. So they're accustomed to seeing quality defenses. But I do think that this is a different animal with Miami. And I do, and you and I have talked about it all week. If of both these games, the one shootout we're going to get is likely in this game. But I do think ultimately defense wins or at least gets you to championships. And I think Miami's defense will make a few more plays in this one to give them the win and a chance at a national championship.
Here's Pete Golding talking about making it to the semis here in college football.
November 30th, everything changed for you and your team when Lane Kiffin decided to leave for LSU. And a lot of people didn't think you would be here right now at the national semifinal in the Fiesta Bowl. So what is your message to Lane Kiffin, to all those who maybe have given up or lost hope, and you keep proving them wrong as you're here right now in Phoenix?
Yeah, I don't have a message for anybody else. I think our team, right, had a message. They had a message about how they prepared and how they play and that they weren't tired of playing. And I do think the message is I'm replaceable, you're replaceable, our players are replaceable, right? I think you want to build a program to where it's heading in the right direction, and one person, one player, or anything like that's not going to derail that. There's been too much invested in that, and it's been aligned correctly that one person is not going to impact something so drastically. If it is, it's probably not built right, right? If one coach in any sport can determine the outcome of it, he probably doesn't have a very good staff. Right? I mean, if one player can determine the outcome of it, we probably didn't recruit and create the right depth, right? Or we didn't prepare him and be ready for his opportunity. And it's a team game. I mean, there's so many people that go into it. So the timing of when it happened, in my opinion, it couldn't happen at a better time for the players because everything was already in place. Right? Everything was on the track. It's headed the right direction. We got really good players. Right? There was already a culture created. They knew the expectation. The only thing that was different, who's running them out of the tunnel. And to be honest with you, I don't think the players give a damn who runs them out of the tunnel. Right? Does it make sense? They care about their plan. They care about getting held accountable, right? And how they're going to prepare. And they care about people that care about them, right? And I think that's been the message.
By the way, Pete Golding looks like he could either be 25 or 55, Joe.
He looks a lot closer to 50. He didn't look like that when he was just a DC, Donnie. Did you notice that? Now he's got like pencils in the hair. Yeah. He's got looks like he hasn't slept in 12 months. So yeah, that'll do that. A lot of pressure on him. But I mean, listen, kudos. If he manages to win this game, he doesn't have to win a national championship. Just get to the national championship and they'll build a library for him at Ole Miss. I can assure you of that.
Let's hear from Mario Cristobal with a quick little clip here.
I don't think people realize how good the teams in the ACC are. Okay, and I hope now that they're realizing that more and more as we advance, because the teams that we play in our conference, they do great in the CFP.
That's why they got the full amount of the $14 million for bowl season. Mario's like, you know what? You gave us the check. I'll compliment you, ACC.
Listen, we got to stop with nobody cares that Miami's in the ACC. They might as well be independent at this point here, because the fact that they're ACC is irrelevant here. They have dominated teams from the SEC in the playoff as well as the Big Ten. So I can assure you the ACC has no bearing on the Miami Hurricanes.
How about this, Joe? If we can get this graphic up, the field is set, which looks absolutely spectacular out there in Arizona. But I caution you people out there watching this show. My Philadelphia Eagles took the track out there in Arizona as the more dominant team against Kansas City. They made it an ice skating rink against the best pass rushers in the history of professional sports as the Eagles were on a record pace. They couldn't get a sack. They slipped all over the place, and they lost that game. So, Joe, I ask you this. Are we going to be in an ice skating rink today, once again in Arizona, in a big football game?
I doubt that, Donnie. I think they'll make it, but because that doesn't help Ole Miss either, who's going to want to throw the ball 40, 45 times. If their receivers can't cut, that's not going to help them either. So I think that this game will be a whole lot of fun, and I think they've learned from that game with the Eagles, that's for sure.
By the way, Spartans back in Troy, back in that era. Look at this trophy right here. This feels like you went and conquered Galileo or whoever to get this and say, okay, to the victors go the spoils. You now run this new country here. Look at that trophy, man. That is what does that cost? Like $5 million? Is that Schwarzkopf? What is that over there? Whatever the crystal company is. What is that crystal?
That looks like it's I mean, that's going to be in Sotheby's here. It's going to fetch something like $30 million, Donnie, somewhere along the line. That is an impressive trophy there for a Fiesta Bowl. That's for sure.
Look at that. You got people holding up the trophy on there. You also have like football guys on the trophy. And then you have like the Fabergé egg on top here. Looks like one of the more impressive trophies they have. It's not even for the championship trophy, just for the Fiesta Bowl trophy. My goodness here. Look at that. We bring you all the information you need to know on the SportsGrid Network on the early line, and we will be right back.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Okay, Dubs has to go back to his roots. I'm not a Jets fan, I'm not a Giants fan, and neither one of those teams even play in New York. But I'm a New Yorker through and through, despite where my mail gets sent. And I will not stand for the Jets to be dragged through the mud in this way. Not gonna happen. So Dante Moore, if you do leave, you should be so lucky to fly the plane.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Steelers get their touchdown, and they miss the extra point. It was Lamar Jackson who made the plays to get the Ravens into what should have been easy field goal territory. So explain to me how in the world we can look at last night's game as, well, there you go, can't trust Lamar Jackson.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Off seasons, a lot of fun, a lot of changing parts here. You're getting that in Atlanta right now. But like when you grow up as a kid, it's like, well, what do you want to do for, like a living? Like as a kid, like I want to be a fireman, I want to be a policeman, I want to be the president of the United States. As you grow older and you say, you know what? I just want to be in an NFL franchise some way, shape, or how. Like general manager seems like maybe the most fun position you can have. You know what's even better than that? Being like head of football operations when you've already been an NFL success story like Matt Ryan is. Like, can you imagine getting paid probably a few $1 million to sit at like a big table, have lunch all day, check in with the general manager, show up to the games. The owner likes you. Hey, what do you think about this? Well, I think if we get a wide receiver in the offseason, I'll tell my general manager, that sounds great, Matt. Let's go have some mimosas and watch this football game play out. Matt Ryan looks like he has a position created for him in Atlanta that seems like it'll be a dream position. Hey, Matt, just lend us your ear and tell us what you think, and we'll pay you a lot of money for it.
The cushiest of cushy jobs, right?
What a great job. What a great job.
I mean, and he left a pretty good job too, right? Sitting in front of a camera, just like dribbling words out there. And again, like, yeah, okay, boring is all, you know what. But I got to tell you, that's the kind of gig we're all looking for. I think Tom Brady also is experiencing a little bit of being a consultant of sorts for organizations here. I think that's. And listen, even Troy Aikman's getting involved, right? Is in Miami hiring him, Donnie, to be a consultant for their search on a G. Well, I got to tell you, former quarterbacks getting the jobs of all jobs here right now in the NFL.
How about this? Peacock has announced a feature that changes for subscribers to potentially mute the announcers and change the crowd noise levels during the broadcast. Now, for me, the Philadelphia Eagles, like if you want to listen to Merrill Reese, he's a legend. He's lost his fastball, but he's still a legend. Love to hear that guy's voice here. The Flyers, they're just fine. For me in the city of Philadelphia, I don't think we have Peacock, or I don't know how many times Peacock calls games, but the Sixers have the worst broadcast team in the NBA led by Kate Scott. Can't listen to it. Nails on a chalkboard. They're horrendous. Same thing with my Philadelphia Phillies. Tom McCarthy is a Mets fan that calls Philadelphia Phillies games, and it drives me nuts. If I could mute those two and just sit back and enjoy the action, I love this move because, by the way, it seems like 99.9% of the people out there can't stand whoever calls the games anyway. It's a perfect feature, Joe.
Yeah, it is a great feature, except, most people aren't watching it with the sound on anyway, because it's probably one of a bunch of games that you're going to have as it is. So, yeah, I don't ever, usually, Donnie, whenever I put those games on, it's mute button because I've got 4 of the games on that I have to watch as well. So, yeah, you don't want too much distraction and extra crowd noise, that's for sure.
I'm telling you, Tom McCarthy, again, calls the Phillies games. He's been doing it for at least a decade plus. When Pete Alonso would hit a home run against the Phillies, I swear he called it like the best home run he's ever seen in his life. And it's like, hey, wait a second. Who are you actually cheering for at this point? How about this weekend's games? What hot ticket, what not ticket? Pittsburgh looks like they're resigned on the fact they're not going anywhere. Only $1.65 to get into the door. But how about Green Bay and Chicago? The Windy City is fired up for the monsters of the Midway here in a legendary rivalry that's going to take place on Saturday night. Close to $5 bills. The get-in number price, Joe.
Yeah, it's going to be that's going to be a whole lot of fun there. But I think that, supply, demand, you got to know who the customer is too, right? In Chicago. I'm wondering, Donnie, what are those tickets during the season? I bet you they're probably not that far off from there, especially now that they're actually winning football games.
Look at that. I mean, people want to get in that building so bad because they know it's probably the last time they're going to watch Bears football for the season. So you might as well pay that ticket, enjoy it. And the Green Bay Packers are going there without Aaron Rodgers and say, we still own your franchise at this point. But I'm ready for football this weekend. I can't wait for it to play out. You take a look at the NFL, the NFC, and the AFC. You get that nice mix of NFC action on Saturday night, which is going to have the Rams taking on the Carolina Panthers, followed by Green Bay and Chicago. Then you say to yourself, ooh, those Philadelphia Eagles and San Francisco 49ers saving it up there for action on Sunday afternoon. And then you flip it over to the AFC. They're going to get battled. Here's tested from Buffalo and Jacksonville. And then on Sunday night football, that's going to be the Chargers and the New England Patriots. And Monday night football, Houston and Pittsburgh. 2 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday, 1 on Monday Night Football. And I always get back to this, Joe. I didn't like it at first because I always like the 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. But I got to tell you, man, it gives you some little extra kick to the week knowing that you go into a Monday with a playoff football game that night. I don't hate it at all anymore. I used to think I hated it.
No, I mean, listen, this is we get maybe one more great weekend here because we have a national championship game still to play. And obviously, teams will advance from this week. So enjoy this, Donnie, because this next, the beginning tonight, straight through on Monday, this is the last full push for a weekend of full football.
Oh, man, it's been so nice so far, the changing of the seasons before you know it's going to be Major League Baseball. But if we take a look, Joe, the two games on Saturday, weather implications in both of those games. We don't really have that on Sunday in the three games or Monday Night Football other than just seasonal temperatures that are expected in these games. We look at Los Angeles and Carolina. Rain will be in the forecast for that game as the spread is listed at 10.5. Now, Green Bay and Chicago, snow is in the forecast. Not crazy snow, but accumulation may be around an inch during game time if things hit properly. If we look at both of these two games, Joe, which do you think will have more impact on weather? The rain in Carolina, which, by the way, it's not a cold rain. You're going to be like decent temperatures here, but it will rain. Green Bay and Chicago, cold conditions and snow. What's more impactful between those two weather events?
Yeah, well, anything with wind. I mean, wherever the wind shows up, Donnie, that's always going to have the biggest impact on a game. Not snow, not necessarily rain, but any combination of those two with double digit or, wind gusts and those type. That's the thing that's going to affect it more than anything else here. But, I mean, you ask the players and they'll tell you, I don't mind playing in the rain as long as it's not 20-mile-an-hour winds, we're good to go. So wind, wherever the wind goes, that's what you want to be very cognizant of this weekend.
And also understand this, too. When you're dealing with rainy conditions, and again, the NFL fields are unbelievable, even with grass. Yes. They're great drainage. But there's still an issue when you're on grass with rain. Not so much when you're on turf with rain as opposed to it. So if it is raining, they'll still be able to move the football. You'll still be able to get your feet and not have like a Rose Bowl scenario like, oh, my goodness, they got to squeegee the field. That's not going to be the case. But I am looking forward to those Saturday games. Interesting, between the two. Blowout expected for Carolina, or in the Carolina game because the Rams are the better team. But then again, Joe, a couple weeks ago, we saw rain in the forecast and it rained in Carolina, and Carolina came back to beat the Rams. Great stuff in the NFL this weekend as we keep getting you involved in the process and letting you know the information you need to. That's some winning bets. We'll be right back.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Okay, Dubs has to go back to his roots. I'm not a Jets fan, I'm not a Giants fan, and neither one of those teams even play in New York. But I'm a New Yorker through and through, despite where my mail gets sent. And I will not stand for the Jets to be dragged through the mud in this way. Not gonna happen. So Dante Moore, if you do leave, you should be so lucky to fly the plane.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Steelers get their touchdown, and they miss the extra point. It was Lamar Jackson who made the plays to get the Ravens into what should have been easy field goal territory. So explain to me how in the world we can look at last night's game as, well, there you go, can't trust Lamar Jackson.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The NBA on a night-to-night basis, if you're not paying attention, shame on you. Fading the public is a lot of fun in the NBA where a team goes, you know what, they're the better team, let me take them. And your boy DRS goes, not so fast. We go the opposite direction, which we saw last night. A 1-point loss by the Brooklyn Nets. Oh, no, Donnie. Oh, yes. I was getting 2 points in that game, and you cashed in along with us here on a perfect 2-0 night on our buy best bets. We're not going to give those out right now. That comes at the end of hour number 2. But in the NBA, not only was I winning last night, seemingly the Atlanta Hawks figured they're winning as well. They actually won a basketball game, and they traded their franchise player. 4-time All-Star Trae Young goes to the Washington Wizards for C.J. McCollum, Corey Kispert, and Corey Kispert. I was hoping to see if they had any, changes of first-round picks or, lottery-protected picks, but I guess not. They couldn't wait to get rid of Trae Young, and they did.
And they did, and kudos to them. I mean, it's hard to believe it. Trae Young is 27 years old, and it feels like he's been in the league a million years. But the one thing that we know for sure is that he has not played a lick of defense in any of those years that he has been in the league. And quite honestly, this is long overdue for Atlanta. We've already seen Atlanta, as currently constructed, being a much better team. Certainly defensively when he hasn't been playing, and they got firsthand a look at this year, and now he's going to want a contract extension. The league is changing. You have to be able to play defense. The Lakers don't, right? It's great that you have the James Hardens and the Luka Doncics and the Trae Youngs of the world, but they don't play any defense, and that's the problem right now. So Atlanta said, you got to go. They sent him to Siberia, and kudos to Washington. They have a lot of young guys on that team that will play defense. I don't know how he fits in that team either, Donnie, to be completely honest.
He doesn't. Always looking for, because he probably figured that, hey, there was a guy that used to play named Bradley Beal in Washington that stole a lot of money from that franchise and didn't give him anything in return. I could be that guy. Pay me $50, $60 million a year. We won't win anything. I'll stay out of the public spotlight here, and you'll have your quote-unquote superstar player. We'll see how it works out for Washington. It won't. We'll see how it works out for Atlanta. It probably won't either, just the way the NBA sometimes sets up here. How about the NBA awards here as we look towards MVP season? And the favorite right now is a minus 450 price in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Hey, where's Nikola Jokic? No longer eligible here as we have those injuries moving forward, and you must play at least 65 games to be the MVP, which now leaves us a second-place chance at Luka Doncic at plus 750. SGA, best player on the best team again? Maybe so. He's now the heavy favorite, Joe, to win MVP. By process of elimination, apparently now.
I'm kind of shocked. Listen, that's the easy pick, right? But who's been more impactful than Jaylen Brown to his team? Somebody tell me that. I mean, if anybody thought that the Celtics would have been 23-13 at this point with a legit shot of actually taking down the East, I would not have believed you, and I would have said it would have taken a MVP effort by Jaylen Brown to do that. If he continues to do it, how many more 30-point games does the guy got to play? And he plays some defense, Donnie. He had another 33 last night. So Jaylen Brown at that price would be my bet.
By the way, LeBron James told you back-to-backs, I'm an aging man. I will not play in those. Well, apparently the Lakers didn't want to play either. 107-91 beatdown by the San Antonio Spurs last night. We saw LeBron James say, hey, man, it's getting too old for this. Again, the NBA plays back-to-back. Can you imagine? I know it's not the same. By the way, run it out for the Kenny Chesney concert for a week is Lincoln Financial Field. Okay. Eagles, you're going to play Sunday and Monday night in Pittsburgh. What league does this, man?
Yeah, the NBA does that there. But, it's kudos with the injury that they came up with, too. For LeBron, like some sort of injury management, I don't know, stop. He's already telling you he's going to TBD the rest of the season, not on back-to-back. Every game he's going to be determined, Donnie. Who are we kidding at 41 years old? There are going to be scheduled, we don't need you to beat this lowly team kind of games there on the Lakers.
It's pretty crazy. And again, we need to make the most money we can as owners to rent out our arenas at the detriment of our actual product on the court. You're not basically an arena owner. You're an NBA team owner. Yeah. So you probably figure that the NBA is on better footing when everybody gets to play every night on national television games. And when a player comes to my city in San Antonio, hey, I'm a big LeBron James fan. I can't wait to watch it. Oh, look, he's still here, son. He's just in street clothes sitting down there. Isn't it fun to watch? And by the way, we paid $450 plus tax, including parking and food, just to get into the building and sit in the nosebleed section. But hey, kid, wave to LeBron James, who's not going to play that game tonight. It's just a terrible look and a terrible precedent as it sets up here. But that's the NBA, and away we go. 4 games on the docket tonight. Hint, hint. You know I'm going to find me some action or a public fade at the end of hour number 2. But you know what? It is time for hour number 2. Let's re-rack, have some fun, and get all those topics out there to the people.